In business, there's no room for guesswork. Every shipment matters. Every deadline counts. When you're trying to keep operations running smoothly, the last thing you need is uncertainty. That's why reliability is at the core of USPS Ground Advantage. From the moment your package is first scanned in, it moves through a secure nationwide network, aiding in a timely and accurate delivery. You get near real-time tracking so you can keep up with your shipments. And with affordable upfront pricing, there are no hidden fees or surprise surcharges to throw off your cost sheets. It all adds up to predictable deliveries you can depend on. Because knowing your logistics are handled lets you focus on everything else: your customers, your team, and the future you're building. Visit USPS.com/Ground Advantage to start shipping with confidence. USPS, official shipping sponsor of the NHL.
I went behind their back and I was I was covering boxing and I was driving to fights and whatnot.
Right.
And my cover got blown because I was the first person to interview Tyson Fury after he knocked out Deontay Wilder in the second fight. This was like a week after Mahomes got his first Super Bowl. He was there. Jake Paul was there. Jeff Gordon was there.
Wow.
And I was the first person at the post-fight press conference to interview Fury on ESPN. And my cousin was at a watch party and saw me on TV and apparently texted my mom.
Welcome to Sass and Slapshots, a podcast for women who love hockey by women who love hockey. We're here to give listeners weekly news, game analysis, and cultural hockey conversations from the perspective of two women who found hockey later in life. There's no shame in our game, from veteran fans to rookies just discovering hockey. Everyone is welcome to learn more and encouraged to become obsessed with the best sport on the planet. Let's dive like Ben into today's episode.
Hey guys, gals, and non-binary pals. We are so happy that you are tuning in to Sass and Slapshots. My name is V.
I'm Sarah.
And today we are interviewing Ryan O'Hara, and that rhymed perfectly. That's exciting.
It's the little things.
It's the little things that make us super happy. We are all barely awake because it is 9 o'clock in the morning on a Monday and we have our coffee. So if we sound a little crazy, that's why. I was an idiot and scheduled this interview so early. I'm sorry to everybody involved, including Joe, that is the producer, that is my husband on the other line. Okay, so Sarah, how are you from our last recording? I know it was an hour-long episode. It was actually an hour and 10 minutes, and Joe shaved off 8 minutes of that. So it was a long episode.
It was. We covered so much. And considering, we're halfway through the season and a lot's happened. A lot of people have gone, up and down. We've had a lot of questionable things happen. It's been a long 42 games, several months, but we covered it all. And I'm kind of surprised we covered it in an hour.
Yeah. It's true.
But no, everything's great. It was a great game the other night I was kind of hoping to see Miles back, but he's injured right now. So I was kind of hoping to see the Roscoe Wood reunion, but that didn't happen. So
yeah,
hopefully we'll see that at some point.
Let's talk about that. Sorry, Ryan. It'll be 1 second. Let's talk about that Ottawa game because holy fucking shit.
My gosh. I forgot we didn't talk about that on the last episode.
Because we talked about the Gordie Howe, which I posted a reel on Instagram and I'll share it to threads about. We talked about the Gordie Howe, which I had never heard before in my life before that podcast episode. And the next day, Josh Manson got a Gordie Howe, almost 2 Gordie Howes against Ottawa.
And wasn't it within like the first
17 minutes?
For 17 minutes? Yeah. I mean, it was insane.
Lost my marbles. I was
so did
like, am I a witch? I'm a witch. So
well,
what a game.
Being at the game, it was so fun. Like the atmosphere was phenomenal. And a lot of people, I'm sure, don't even know what a Gordie Howe is. So there was like there wasn't hats on the ice or anything. But some of us who did know, you could tell who knew what it was because all of us were screaming and just so excited. And we were like, we got the Gordie Howe.
Yeah.
I texted you and then he scored again in the second period, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And he was on he was on regular hat watch. And he was almost to a second Gordie Howe. Right. So if he'd had one more fight, he'd have had a double Gordie Howe. And then one more goal and he would have had a regular
Josh Manson lit that shit up and I immediately bought his jersey.
I need his jersey so bad, but I hate the women's cut. Like
I know.
I just don't like it at all.
That's why I got the large.
I'm waiting for them to put his jersey on that winter sale, but I doubt it'll happen because it's,
that's
he's
the only
killing
reason
it
I
in the
got
league
it.
right now.
Right. All right, guys. Well, today we are interviewing Ryan O'Hara. Ryan O'Hara is an award-winning sports writer and broadcaster currently serving as a beat reporter and site editor for the Hockey News, covering the Colorado Avalanche and San Jose Sharks. He is a member of the International Boxing Hall of Fame voting committee and a 5-time Boxing Writers Association of America award recipient, with experience covering fights around the world and contributing to major pay-per-view events. Before focusing full-time on sports media, O'Hara worked as a radio news anchor and spent several years in the private security industry. A graduate of Embry-Riddle Aeronautical University, he ultimately turned down a career in intelligence to pursue sports journalism, a decision he says he's never regretted. Ryan, we are so excited to have you on the Sass and Slapshots podcast. You have been a supporter of us since we decided to do this, and you've been just such a great mentor in a way of like ushering us into the world of sports journalism, especially independent sports journalism. And Sarah and I knew that we had to have you on the podcast.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been great knowing all of you for the last several months.
Yeah. I think that I know Sarah knew about you before I did. But I like stalked you on Threads, and then I sent you a message and I was like, oh yeah, like we should probably know each other. You're all over Threads and this is what we do, and we just hit it off, and we've been the best of friends since. So we don't have any questions prepared for you at all. This is going to be a very organic conversation.
No, it's fine with me.
Yeah.
Also, here's Waddles, the golden retriever.
Waddles, the golden retriever.
Yeah.
My goodness gracious.
It's so beautiful.
And we're going to have to post a video of that so people don't just hear me going.
Her thing is ice cubes whenever I make coffee, so let's toss one to her.
I have a Australian Shepherd sitting in the office chair looking at me, lying to me because Joe did feed them. But she's like, Mother, you didn't feed me.
My big one can't make it up the stairs. So she's 13 and she's can't do stairs anymore. So I don't get to see her as much, but I go down every morning. I'm like, oh, my baby.
I gotta meet her.
Yes. Oh, she's the best.
Dogs are what is keeping me insane in 2026.
Right.
Ryan, so I know that you were born in North Carolina, correct? You're from North Carolina?
Yeah, I was born in New Bern.
New Bern, right. I knew, which is, for listeners, right beside Wilmington, which is where I was born and raised and lived for like 27 years. So that was wild to find out. But I want to know how a man from New Bern got into sports journalism in hockey, because yes, we have the Carolina Hurricanes, but it's not big down there, I will say. Yeah. It's like basketball's really the sport in North Carolina. So how did you even enter the world of hockey?
So my dad played in Boston growing up. And in fact, he played against Robbie Ftorek growing up in Boston. Robbie Ftorek was the head coach of the Bruins at one point, and he was also the head coach of the Devils, and got fired right before this 2000 Stanley Cup playoff started. And then, what's his name? Robinson. I forget his name off the top of my head. He's a Hall of Famer, but he ended up taking over. And then the Devils ended up winning the Stanley Cup. So it's like they got fired and they won without him.
No.
And I think the reason why he got fired is because he had a bad temper. And at one point, he was so angry at one of the officials that he picked up the bench and threw it onto the ice.
Holy shit.
No.
Yeah, that was classic.
Wow. I would love to see that today. People would lose their minds.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So your dad got you into the sport. That's really cool. And with boxing, like, was it the same thing? Your dad was just into boxing?
No, not really. So boxing was a little different, honestly. So I was also a fan of Rocket Power, the Nickelodeon show.
Hell yeah.
There was hockey in that. So I started skating when I was about 6, 7. That's, oh God, I didn't even mean to say that.
Oh no.
No, we are.
You did it.
I did
Ryan.
it. My bad. I'll call that's a penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct.
Right.
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
Yeah. And of course, Yuma, Arizona is where I spent most of my childhood. And that's a big like boxing and MMA town. So it's like majority Mexican population. Around the time that I started to grow up, Oscar De La Hoya was still in his prime. And I remember seeing commercials for the rematch between Shane Mosley and De La Hoya, and it played like every 2 minutes. And the highlights were great. So I was like, and I kind of look like Oscar. So I was like, hey, I think boxing's cool. So I became a boxing fan. And that's kind of where it all started. It was boxing and hockey for the most part.
Wow.
Nice.
So you're award winning. Like you
Somehow.
Yeah. You are worth the
I believe
awards.
it. I believe it. Yeah, I'd say.
Right. Like so you got into these sports, but how did you get into journalism specifically? Like, I think as somebody who found hockey later in life, and Sarah as well, and we're trying to fight our way into credentials and becoming, not that independent journalists aren't real journalists, because they certainly are. I mean, that's what we're doing, but just more official, I think. How did you worm your way into this world?
Well, I started like really young. So, my brother's 8 years older than me. And so he actually was at the University of Arizona, and he had his own political podcast called the Arizona Growler back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of wanted to go in his footsteps. So I started broadcasting when I was little. So he was in college. I was probably about 10 when I started doing broadcasting. I have old
God, I need to see it.
But yeah, so I started just, broadcasting random stuff. I would just read stuff off Yahoo Sports and just turn it into a broadcast. And so that was kind of my thing. Yeah.
That's amazing.
So when I was very little, and NASCAR is where I kind of got started. So I was covering racing, and I was also going to school for Intel and playing hockey at the same time. So I was doing all that. I hurt my back, so hockey was kind of out. It's honestly kind of like the worst accident you could ever imagine. So I basically got crushed by my own car. Yeah. So the parking brake broke, and I got out of the car. I got out of the car. I was checking something in the trunk, and then I realized that the car was rolling. And then my brain was like, wow, let's try to stop the car on a hill. And it really didn't work. It's not like the movies where you can, be like Captain America.
Just push it. Yeah.
Yeah, you're not the Hulk, unfortunately.
It was more like Captain Cambodia. And, Cambodians aren't very big. So that didn't work out so well for me.
When was this accident?
2013. So it was about 13. Well, it's technically 12 years ago, because I think it was in August. It was at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
And like a real hockey player, I still showed up to the rink. I didn't get checked out. And then my captain, Paul Salveson, who, by the way, is like a popular TikToker in Avalanche world. And it's funny, he reached out to me at the beginning of the season, and he was like, wait a second, I know who this guy is. And then so
I know you.
He was the guy that saw my leg and noticed that like 90% of it was purple. And he was like, what did you do? And I was like, I got in a fight with my car and I lost.
Oh, damn.
Oh,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. Pro tip: if you get in a car accident, don't show up to the rink. Go to the ER.
Yeah.
Probably get smart.
Go get checked out.
I'm a little bit smarter now. Yeah, slightly.
Age, wisdom, that whole thing.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna need to see some videos of little Ryan being a broadcaster.
Being a broadcaster.
There's one that I have. I hate it. I hate looking at it. The other part of the story was that after the accident, I was like, okay, so hockey is pretty much out for right now. Maybe I can cover boxing. So I decided to post on LinkedIn, and I was like, I kind of want to be a boxing writer. I want to give it a shot. And Nestor Gibbs from The Boxing Voice, who's kind of a big YouTuber now, actually reached out and was like, hey, if you're interested in boxing writing, I'm looking for reporters. And that's where it all started. So he gave me an internship, and that's where it all began. And I started covering fights at the Celebrity Theater in Phoenix. And then I didn't think I was all that good, but apparently I was good enough, and I just kept working at it.
Well, I think passion, even if your writing isn't up to snuff, like, people can sense passion and motivation and determination. And I think that's like the biggest hack, quote unquote, for writing and journalism and kind of really anything in life. It's like the confidence that you bring, and like, maybe you don't know, and this is advice for people listening too. Like, maybe you don't know everything. Like, I am very confident in the fact that I will never, ever know everything about hockey. I will never know everything about personal finance, which was my career before. And I've always been like, I don't know everything, but I know someone who knows about it. And I'm also really passionate about it, and I can figure it out. And I think people sense that. And I'm assuming that's probably what happened with you, because you're you're a go-getter.
I try to be. I look at something. I guess it's kind of like of an addictive personality. So as soon as I get into something, I get really into it. And it's funny because when I was in middle school, I would study Kevin Iole and Dan Raphael. So Iole and Raphael, I think they're both Hall of Famers, but Raphael was with ESPN. Iole was with Yahoo. And the part that's really funny is that in high school, I made fun of Raphael on a tweet. Like when I made fun of Raphael and he blocked me like 2 seconds later, right? And I was like, wow, I got blocked by Dan. I thought it was Dan Raphael, but apparently it was Raphael, right? And so as I started to get better at boxing writing, I was like, this is going to be awkward. What if I have to like talk to Dan and then I have to ask him to unblock me? And it got to the point where we were both working at the same card in Philly. We were both with the Ring magazine at the time. And then I brought it up to him. I was like, hey, yeah. So he's like, I can't find you on Twitter. Why is that? So I was like, oh, you blocked me when I was a junior in high school. And he was like, what? What did you do? I was like, I made fun of you. He goes, yeah, you deserved it.
That's honestly, that's like a little trophy. Like that's a accomplishment to be blocked that young by somebody. Not that you should bully anybody online, folks, but yeah, I've experienced that too, where like someone big in my industry blocked me. And it's always like, I don't know. So how did you find your way into Colorado and into the Avalanche organization? And do you have any advice out there for people like Sarah and I that are like, man, I don't have any experience whatsoever, but I want to do this?
Yeah.
Honestly, just keep trying. I know it can be hard because, there are people who are probably going to try to bring you down at some point. And that's how it was in boxing for me. And then I eventually became friends with them. It's kind of like I didn't take things personally. I just kept working at it.
I've heard that for 2 different people that work in the Avs organization. Somebody who works in the graphic design department. They were like, yeah, it's high stress some days and you cannot take anything that anybody says personally. You just have to keep going and keep doing you. And, eventually they'll come around. And even if they don't, like, you just got to press forward. So good advice, I think, in life in general. Like, don't take things personally.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that's every job. When you first start out, you can't let anything, you got to just keep your eye on the prize and keep going and push forward because there's always going to be the people who are like,
yeah,
newbie.
It's like Rudy, man. You just got to you're the small fry. People are going to push you down until they
you're the newbie.
You. Yeah.
Right.
Pretty much. I remember, I think it was around the time that I started boxing writing. I reached out to the Boxing Writers Association probably in 2014, like wanting to know how to get into the association. And the first email I got back was pretty much like, LOL, like, no one knows who you are, buddy.
No way.
I'm like, okay.
But you will know who I am. And that's
which
how
is
I
funny
feel.
because the guy that sent that email ended up being my boss like 3 or 4 years later.
There you go.
So it's kind of funny. So
yeah, every time I write something or I talk about the Avalanche, I'm like, these men have no idea who I am. They don't know I exist, but they will.
Right. Yes. Yeah. Well, I think we said that about Landy. We were like, they don't know who we are, but they will one day.
One day.
Maybe one day. I'll be like, hey, Gabe, your handwriting's on my arm. And he's going to be like, okay, you're crazy. But how did you get into the Avalanche? I'm very curious of what led you to Colorado of all places.
Oh, yeah. So I was obviously I was a news anchor in Arizona. The station ended up getting sold to a network that was based in Mexico. And then I thought this was probably a perfect way for me to go to another state. And the first one that came to mind was Colorado because my best friend who was on our hockey team, he passed away in a car accident in 2015, unfortunately.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, he was a good dude. And he was I thought he was a lot nicer than me. And so I kind of realized that he was from Monument. And I was like, well, maybe Colorado. And then I visited, I think, a few months after his passing. And I was like, dang, this place is gorgeous. No wonder everyone's nice here. So that's how I ended up out here. And
it's hard to be angry when you look at the mountains.
Right. That's what I mean. That's exactly what I was going to say. It's hard to be angry when you go outside and there's that.
Yeah, I was literally just drinking coffee in Vail and just enjoying life.
Yeah.
So that's what happened. And I was producing news for a bit for a station in the Springs, and I just really didn't like it. So did the private security thing, started writing more boxing, got into the associate, and it just kept working my way up. And of course, as boxing politics got more and more insane, um, the more I wanted to try to at least cover hockey, just because that's the sport that I really love, and obviously I was still playing for some period of time. So and so I covered the finals in 22. Went back to boxing. I decided to sign up for another Titanic run, which ended. I would say like last year is when I really just got so tired of it. I was like, we just need to do hockey. I was covering stuff from Mile High, but they're not credentialed. I kind of wanted to take a step further. And yeah, now we're with the Hockey News because Bailey Curtis left the Hockey News, and I immediately reached out to their Twitter account. And that's pretty much what happened.
Wow. Okay.
That's awesome.
So you've been with the Hockey News how long now?
Since October. So it feels like a lot longer. Yeah. I've been with them since October. It's been great, honestly. It's a really fun organization to work with.
And you cover another team, correct?
Yeah, I cover the Sharks too. Obviously, I
Sharks.
can't.
Okay.
I'm not traveling to San Jose at all. But they needed
Right.
some help, so I've been helping out with them. It's kind of cool to watch Macklin Celebrini though.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you balance talking about both? Like, because I know they play at the same times. How do you manage writing
That's
for
funny.
both?
Be honest with you, I use a random number generator. So I go on Google and type in random number. I'll put
Okay.
one number in one box, and then two, put gibberish, just a bunch of numbers, hit generate, and then erase it. Because I don't want it to brain fart. And then I'll hit it. And if it goes to one, I'm like, okay, I'll focus on the Avalanche for a bit. So I'll cover an Avalanche story, and then I'll regenerate.
Okay.
And if it hits two, I'm like, okay, now let's do something on the Sharks. That's how my brain works. It's all about computer generated stuff.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. I do that to order food at restaurants too. I
Really?
don't know what to eat. I'll put in 1 out of 10. Da, da, da. Okay, we'll pick out of this page. I'm like, crap, Kung Pao chicken. I'm allergic. Let's try that again.
Let's not do that.
That is the most neurodivergent thing I have ever heard.
Yeah. And
Just roll the dice,
in the Springs, I ended up trying a wild boar spaghetti. That's what it ended up hitting. And of course, my mom's from Cambodia. So when I was like, I'm going to have the wild pig spaghetti, she was horrified. She was like, dude, please don't eat that in front of me.
Son, no. Please, no.
I still did. And it was amazing.
That sounds
That was
so
delicious.
Actually, it sounds really good.
Yeah, that
But I
sounds
think some animal rights group found out about it. And
No!
ever since I went back, there has not been a wild boar spaghetti ever again.
No,
It's
you
gone.
ruined it,
I ruined
Ryan.
it.
Ah. So I'm very curious, what are the biggest pros of covering the Avalanche and what are the biggest cons of covering the Avalanche? And you can be as honest as you want to be here.
I think obviously when you're a reporter, you have to be frozen. You kind of have to be a robot in a sense because you can't cheer or anything like that. Unlike the reporter from the Jacksonville Jaguars who went on some sort of preaching rampage the other day. It was kind of weird. I don't know if you guys saw that.
I didn't, but I will look
I
at
didn't.
it.
Yeah, but she was basically cheerleading the coach after the game. What are you doing? You're not supposed to do that.
You're not supposed to show that much bias.
That was weird.
Right.
It was strange. I felt like I was listening to a Joel Osteen, some sort of sermon.
No.
No. And of
Hunty,
course, no, there were
no.
Broncos fans that went after me. This was a beautiful moment. I'm like, you're not supposed. That's not what you're there
She's
for.
a journalist.
Not the way
That's
it's
not.
not the way
Yeah.
it's
We'll leave that to the pastor. But yeah, I guess that's a con is that you kind of have to be a robot. I'm so used to it. It's not really a con, but I can see that if you're new to the industry, I can see that as a con. And the positive is that, you get to meet new people, interact with fans that you normally wouldn't meet. So,
Yeah.
so I guess apparently I come off really standoffish on social media. So people are surprised that I'm actually a human.
I did not get that impression at all.
I
That's
say
good.
I didn't get that impression at all. No, because you reached out to me and you're like, cool name. And I was like, oh, this is awesome.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
true.
I think you're very approachable
Yeah.
online and in person. And I think the best thing about you and other people in the sports journalism world is their willingness to just talk to you about it
Mhm.
and give you really good, solid advice and support you. And I think that's just, it's so lovely to come into something, new, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, having known nothing, and just be like, your hand, I felt like my hand was being held, Um, thank you for that. And thank you for being approachable, because I feel like this is a very, in a lot of ways, old school, old guys club.
You got to know somebody to...
Yeah. And it's nice to know you.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, I like being me. I don't. It's of course in boxing you got a lot of different personalities, and a lot of them aren't really nice. Well, especially in that world. But
Right.
I don't know. I never. I mean, I thought about it to myself. How can I be more douchey? I'm like, I don't know how to do this right.
I can't do this.
Yeah, I think it's like once you're
I'm not
treated,
capable.
Yeah, once you're treated like that, you're like, how can I not be like that? Like, how can I be the opposite of what would I want younger me to hear?
It's like in high school, we pulled a prank, and then me and these two guys, we basically put like ski masks on, going into geometry class, pretending to be like thugs or something, as a joke. And then one of the students was like, "I thought this was real until I saw Ryan with the ski mask on." I was like, "God dang it,
Captain Cambodia over here."
Yeah, I don't exactly fit in on that. So
yeah. Who is your favorite Avalanche player and why?
let's see. I like Natchez.
Okay.
He's got the spinorama. He's got the moves. I'm kind of like the flashy stuff. It's kind of like Pavel Bure was one of my favorites growing up, just because he was the Russian Rocket.
Okay.
Like when I was a kid, we would play tag, and then whenever a kid got close to me, I would speed the other direction and yell out "Bure." Yeah,
just like
that was my thing.
Now, who do you find is the easiest to interview?
Let's see. Trying to think. I mean, there's a couple of guys. Solovyov, honestly, is really easy to talk to for the most part. Even though there's a slight language barrier, he's very easy. He's very approachable. In fact, when we talked for the first time, and I was actually, I was standing up over him, and he was like, you can sit down, He's like, you don't have to hurt yourself. He's like, sit down. I was like, okay, gotcha.
All right, let's go.
And he was in a good mood because he had just arrived from Calgary, so he was just super happy and just wanted to talk to somebody. I think he was just happy that I wanted to talk to him, honestly.
Yeah.
And so I talked to him, and he was the one that told me that Gabe Landeskog, his nickname for him was Han Solo as soon as he showed up. Yeah.
That is the cutest thing in the world.
When he scored, I sent out the meme of Han Solo just.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. Some
and honestly,
people will get it. Some
I
people
feel
will
like
not.
McKinnon is really easy to talk to as well.
It's so interesting.
See, that surprised me.
Right. Like,
Thea and I are going to say the same thing.
Because it was a co-ed league that Joe and I played on for like a hot second. But our coach used to go to the same rink or something as McKinnon, and he said McKinnon was a douche canoe. And I was like, it's really interesting. And ever since then, I've been like a little sus about McKinnon and the press and just his personality. But then you came out and you were like, no, like he's great. And I've seen more interviews, obviously getting deeper into the fandom. But yeah, him being like more amicable and open to press surprised me. But I'm happy for it because I mean he's the face of the Avalanche, so it's important for him to be.
I feel like we can relate a lot because I think like he's kind of awkward, but I'm kind of awkward too. Because I don't know, for some reason, neurodivergent. One night at like 2 a.m., I thought in my mind, I went and I told him this, and he started laughing. I was like, I rewatched your draft video and thought, have you ever had like a bad day where you just go back and just want to just relive that experience? And I thought that was a great question. And his response was hilarious. He basically said, no, I don't like the way that I looked back then. I still don't like the way that I look, but it was a lot worse in 2013. And we just started laughing. I was like, I can say the same about myself because I was a dork. Like I had...
we all were.
Yeah.
Yeah. My nickname in first grade was Ryan O'Harry. I had a mustache. I had already had facial hair at that point. And by 8th grade, it was like, I mean, it was thick. It was a mustache, a little like a little soul patch down there. And I was death staring the principal because I didn't like my principal. But that... Yeah, so that I was one weird looking kid, and so I kind of related with them, and we laughed about that. And it wasn't about hockey; it was about how weird we were growing up.
Yeah,
so,
and I think that's really wholesome that like someone at his level can still be like, I still don't, I mean, like,
Yeah.
it's just such a human response, you know?
It's a huge, yes. Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's what I
And
like about the Avalanche. I mean, I'm sure there's 32 teams. So there are 31 other teams with real humans, you know, behind the bench. And I think the Avalanche really do a lot in the media and the press to showcase that, like, they're real humans, not just players.
Yeah, I think Landeskog's another one that's easy to talk to. I don't think like there's anyone that's particularly difficult to talk to. Everyone has a different personality. You just have to think of questions on the fly that will open them up. Like that's how I got McKinnon to open up. You know, you asked Jared Bednar a question that he's not expecting. He can really go into detail, whether it's the power play, the penalty kill, Nathan McKinnon's leadership. What else? Sam Gerard's like resurgence. So there's different things. You just have to think of it on the fly. Ivan. He went off about him a few days ago. And I had to come up with that on the fly because I thought of like 2 questions and I was like, man, I don't want to be basic. Now let's go with the Ivan question.
Well, you want to be memorable in the room.
Yeah.
I think that's my one pet peeve though. And I spoke with Ryan about this when we first started talking is like, how do you feel about tonight? And I'm like, you see that asked every single game, every single interview. And I'm like, of course they're feeling excited, ready to play. Like it's always the same standard answers. It's always the same standard question. And you're just like, can we think outside the box a little bit on these questions? And, you
Just a
know,
little bit.
I understand. Yeah, I understand that there's probably certain guidelines and boundaries when you're interviewing players on what you can and can't ask and so on and so forth. But that same question every game, I was like, guys, come on. There's got to be something else we can ask going into this.
Like, or it's like the Avs fans that got upset at me. There's like, why do you call Brock Nelson old? I didn't call him old. This obviously, I was talking about the TSN reporter that said he would be gasping and wheezing. I wasn't calling Brock old. I was asking him to basically respond to the critics. Like, how does it feel to basically shut up the critics with your performance? Like, oh man, this was a terrible question. I'm like, not
That's a
really.
great question. I thought
it was a fine question. I'll let you know when I ask a dumb question. It doesn't happen very often.
Right. It's like I've been doing this a long time. I know how to ask questions to get the answers that I'm looking for that are more in depth.
But in boxing, it drove me nuts when, you know, we were trying to talk to Dmitry Bivol. It's funny, his cousin. I have a story about that, but I met his cousin on an elevator. So I just met a random Russian in an elevator. And I was like, man, he might like boxing. And it turns out he was just like, oh, you like boxing, huh? You know, my cousin is a professional fighter. And I was like, who's your cousin? Well, my cousin is Dmitry Bivol. I was like, no way. I'm covering that. I'm covering the Canelo Bivol fight. And so we met in the elevator. And then I ran into him at the media center. I'm like, no crap. Val is actually Bivol's cousin.
That's wild. I love little instances like that. That's so funny. It's like fate.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then you have reporters asking, like, the fighters after the fight about their pets. I'm like, bro, come on. Like, can we ask something else?
Right,
Yeah.
right.
I want to know who he wants to fight next. I don't know about you.
Right.
But
Well, and like, I think that's fine for like what's it called? A peak access, you know, the behind the scenes when they do that, that's fine for that. But after games, before games, we want to hear like, what's going on? How is this game going to go? What are the thoughts on this team? So on and so forth. Not, you know, the same question because they're going to answer it the same way.
pretty much. And usually you can hear it in their voices.
Right.
Yeah.
They've had it 7,000 times. They're over it.
Yeah. Poor Connor McDavid. At least McDavid's the one that just gets he's just like, I've answered this question like 6 times this week.
Right.
Come on, man.
They're
I'm
like, I
done.
can't tell you to F off because this is my job. So here we go with the same recorded answer.
Oh, you can't do the
Yeah.
Kurt Busch, the Kurt Busch thing. He was on probation. I think he got in a fight on pit road, so he was on probation. And then this other driver was just running him all over the racetrack and pinching him up onto the wall. And a reporter asked him, "Did being up on probation force you to race this guy differently?" And he was so annoyed because he had been asked the same question so much on pit road. He was like, "It refrains me from beating the shit out of you for asking me stupid questions." And then he got fined even more.
Yeah. Exactly. It's like,
Well, I feel like at one point they're just gonna stop, just look at him
Just
like,
walk
I'm
away.
not answering this again.
just
Right,
get up
Yeah.
and walk away. Yeah.
I'm done. And I
I
don't
need a
blame them. If
moment.
someone asked me the same question 7,000 times, I'd be like, no.
Yeah.
I would be like, here's a PowerPoint presentation. Here's a deck, a slide deck. Just a few questions about the Avs and, our dominance this season because there's no other description. How do you feel? You know how I feel about the power play.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Everybody online.
I think we've made it blatantly.
Yeah. How are you
obvious.
feeling about it now? And what do you think about Hakstol's future with the Avs?
I don't know. I don't think Hawks will be around next year, but I could be wrong. But we'll see. It's still a process. I think when it comes to the power play, like the perimeter style of play is something that has to go. Instead of like doing the tic-tac-toe thing, you just got to shoot the puck. I mean, you basically have to play the same way that if it were 5-on-5. It's
Right.
It's such a mental thing. Like, I feel like now it's a mental block. Like, I don't feel like it's a skill situation anymore. I feel like it's kind of like playing Dallas. Like, it's been elevated to this thing now that they have to mentally get over. And that's where I feel like the power play is. And I'm not like, I'm not so angry at the power play anymore. I'm angry at the inconsistency of the power play. That's the issue, I think.
Yeah. And I guess we'll have to see tonight what happens because, they had that meeting. Bednar basically told us it was all hands on deck. I asked Brock Nelson about it. And he went on a collective approach. He encouraged players that were on the power play lines to, give their input on what they think they should see. And they came out and scored 2 power play goals.
Yeah.
So,
I was about to say after the meeting, because I saw your interview about that.
Yeah.
After that, you could tell there was a shift of we're going to shoot and we're not going to wait for the perfect shot. We're just going to try and get stuff at the net. And obviously it worked. But again, it's the consistency. Will they come out and do the same thing tonight? Will they continue to do that, or will we go back to the same old?
I think we're gonna stay consistent tonight. First of all, we're playing Toronto, so that should probably give us.
Yeah, and is Nylander still out?
No, he's back. Nylander and Matthews are both back in the game.
Okay, well, good for them.
They couldn't have waited like one more game.
But that team is so much different without Marner. I think Matthews has been really struggling without Mitch there, but you can blame the fan base for that one.
Yeah.
I mean, when you run out one of your best players from town, and that's literally where he grew up. I mean, that says a lot about you.
Yeah. Do you think Toronto is cursed?
It might be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's kind of like the Cubs and the Cleveland Guardians, I guess, or the Red Sox. There's been a number of curses throughout sports history. But I mean, the Leafs haven't won since 1963?
Yeah,
something like that.
Been a
I mean, my dad was born in 1950, and he was in six. He was a six. No, the last time the Maple Leafs won, I think John F. Kennedy was still president. Yeah, I could be wrong on that.
1967.
Okay, 1967. So no. So that was 4 years after JFK got assassinated. So this is LBJ.
LBJ? Yep. Lyndon B. Johnson. I know this is like a downshifting conversation, but why did you choose intelligence? So the reason I'm asking this question is because my husband and the producer and editor of this podcast was or is a military Marine Corps veteran, and he was in the intelligence community. And so I'm always just very interested in why civilians get into it, because I've seen it from the government side, but I'm just curious.
Honestly, the Bourne movies, those were pretty cool growing up, and then I came to realize that the movies were actually really accurate.
Oh, okay, and that's it. You were like, I'm gonna be Jason Bourne. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah. I remember just being in class, and I thought I really appreciated what Edward Snowden did. When we were getting lied to about the wiretapping and whatnot, and that came up in class, and one of our professors was a counterintelligence professor that worked at the Pentagon, And I was curious what she thought about Edwardson. Someone brought it up. It wasn't me. And then she just went off. She just went off about him, how he's he committed treason. He should be in prison. And just went off for like a whole hour. And in my mind, I was like, why is this treason? Like we were like we literally got lied to.
Right.
And
I think anything that comes out, especially now that, I've been more radicalized since 2020 and all of that. Any information that comes out when the government says it's treason, I'm always like, but is it? We're mostly the baddies. So I'm very curious about people who their knee-jerk reaction is to say something is bad because, it's bad for the US government. And I'm like, is it? That's really cool. I'm just always interested in the intelligence community and people that are wired for that kind of work because it's like the majority of my friends.
Plus, that's also like that was the only degree program my parents actually approved of. So, obviously I wanted to be a journalist. I couldn't really, there's just a story behind this. This is actually really funny, like what I was thinking about. But that was like the only program that they really approved of was like something in intelligence. And now they've kind of come around. They're like, man, you made the right decision not to pursue intel. Now they're kind of on the side, like everything's corrupt and everything like that. But I went behind their back and I was like, I was covering boxing and I was driving to fights and whatnot.
Right.
And my cover got blown because I was the first person to interview Tyson Fury after he knocked out Deontay Wilder in the second fight. This was like a week after Mahomes got his first Super Bowl. He was there. Jake Paul was there. Jeff Gordon was there.
Oh, wow.
And I was the first person at the post-fight press conference to interview Fury on ESPN. And my cousin was at a watch party and saw me on TV and apparently texted my mom. So I was like, So then my parents saw me on TV and ESPN. They're like, huh. My mom texted me like, well, she was like, are you at the Tyson Deontay fight or something like that? Fury Wilder, she got the names mixed up and I'm like, yeah,
about that.
About that.
Ruh-roh.
Well, listen, when you know something's for you, you got to go get it.
Yeah.
I mean, clearly it was. You've won. How many awards have you won? 5, right?
I've won 5.
And what were those awards for?
Congratulations.
If you remember them?
Let's see. No, thank you. The last one I won was for investigative journalism.
Oh.
That piece was particularly crazy. Like, this is so weird. So, like, there was a fighter that tested positive for steroids. So I reported that she tested positive. And then, so apparently this fighter was messing around with someone's husband, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's wife found out about it.
Okay.
And this guy was actually, like, helping her out, getting her drugs tested and stuff. And like intercepted one of the packages that he was supposed to get tested for her and then got a hold of me and then sent me like their lab reports. So I got like
crazy.
So I got hair tests. I got these pills. And, Victor Conte recently passed away and I would joke with him. And so I was like, hey, so I have so-and-so's pills. If I take one of these, will my head grow to the size of a horse? And he just goes, I wouldn't try it if I were you. And I was like, oh, Victor, I was joking, dude. So, yeah. Yeah, I was like, what if my head grew? But anyway,
journalism. That's so rad.
Yeah, so I took that report and I turned it into something and it won. Didn't win first, but it won. And then it won something. And in 2021, I tied for second with 2 International Boxing Hall of Famers who were at least 50 years older than I am. Oof. And then Springs Toledo ended up winning, which I wasn't surprised about. In fact, I thought that if I were to lose, I would lose to Springs Toledo. And I was right. I lost to Springs Toledo.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do I have it right that you're going to the Olympics?
No, I decided not to go. I mean, that's a mess. Okay. Like,
let's talk about it.
Oh, Lord.
Because Sarah shared a post today about the locker room situation. And
it looks terrible.
I mean, what?
The first trial game, a hole in the ice, they try and fix it with a watering can. And I'm just like, this is going to be dangerous. Like, who's in charge of the ice over there? I've heard differing views on who's doing it. And I'm like, is it because if it's Canada and they're messing it up, I'm like, what? And then I know that happens and ice technicians have it down and they know what they're doing. But to see the disaster of like, it's not going to be done in time, to there's not going to be concessions, to there's not going to be this, there's not going to be that, the ice is too small. Don't they have years to do this?
I just looked it up. 2019 is when they found out they're going to do the Olympics in Milan. 2019. Yep. It's not it's not a shock. It's not a surprise. They have years to figure it out. And the ice rink looks like worse than a YMCA. Like it's so bad.
It's really sad because, I've played at ice rinks in the ghetto in Phoenix that have better ice and have better locker rooms than that. And for the 2018 Olympics in Pyeongchang, the rink was ready a year in advance. And so I bring that up to people and they're like, oh no, it's going to be fine. I'm like, are you serious? Like,
I don't know. It's not going to be fine.
It's not fine. Like the blue line is completely crusted over. I'm like, this is garbage. And I'm not going to spend money on my dime to watch something that I could watch on Colfax. If Colfax had an ice rink, it would be better. With more live entertainment outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Nail on the head. Yeah, I completely understand your reasoning of not going. Like when I heard that the rink was going to be short, I was like, okay, like is
They're
it
professionals,
ideal?
They can handle it.
No.
Yeah.
But then I started seeing the pictures coming out and I was like, oh no, this is going to be real bad.
Yeah.
And I am worried about the players' safety. So
100%.
Like we're already dealing with like 60 plus injuries in the NHL right now. And, a lot of them are top people because that's what happens. And I'm very concerned about injury coming back from the Olympics because that's going to affect the Stanley Cup run, which is more important in my eyes. But, what do I know?
It's just sad because we've been waiting so long for, NHL guys to go back to the Olympics and then
12 years, right? Yeah.
You go out and do this.
Right.
Do you know why there was a pause in the NHL sending people to the Olympics?
I don't really remember. I just remember that I think the NHL just thought, we should just focus on it's kind of like in boxing. You have boxers. It's like an amateur tournament. So the NHL kind of viewed the Olympics as like, this is an opportunity for amateurs. We don't the professionals don't need to steal the limelight from the amateur ranks.
Right. Yeah.
Amateur ranks, so to speak. And then the players, I don't think they asked the players. That was just them. But the players were like, no, I want to play in the Olympics. Why'd you do that? Like, that's awesome.
Like, they are the best in the world.
Yeah. And, of course, if you're Brock Nelson, you're a third-generation Olympian. That means a lot to him. So,
yeah, I mean, that's going to be
But in
crazy.
your opinion, what's the better goal here, the Stanley Cup or Olympic gold? Like what is the ultimate for a hockey player? Because as a non-hockey player, to me as a fan, it's the Stanley Cup because that's what I get to see and that's my team and all that. But for these players, is it Olympic gold? You know what I mean? I don't know from their point of view, what is the ultimate prize as a hockey player?
I think it depends on who you play for. So if you're playing for the Blue Jackets, for instance, you probably care a little bit more about the Olympic gold because you're not going to win the Stanley Cup for a while.
Because your team's not there. Yeah.
Your team's not there yet. But given that, they hired the guy from, the Italian sausage company that sells at Walmart that has the big pot belly, I can see why they didn't get the ice ready on time.
Incredible. All right. So one of the cool things about your job is that you get to do the alumni game. And by do, I mean you play in the alumni game, which is crazy. Tell me about that experience, please, because that's just wild.
Well, it's fun. So I think last year it was Riker and Scott Parker. So the part that really sucked about that game is that all of us were sick. I didn't realize it. I knew that I had a 102-degree fever and I fought through it. So,
oh my gosh.
Well, it's not surprising given that you got in a car accident
and still showed up to the rink.
Yeah. And so basically what I would do, this is the thing, because my mom was always on my case about being sick and everything. So I would pretend to sneeze when really it was supposed to be a vicious cough and I was able to fake it. And so that's what I was doing on the bench. I was faking these sneezes when they were really coughs. Yeah, so ended up scoring in that game despite feeling like absolute crap. And this year, the training camp went a lot better. I rehydrated like a horse before the game. I was able to rest a little bit and got out. Well, before that, I watched a little bit of the game from the stands. And then so
Mhm.
they were talking about Hejduk. They were obviously because Milan Hejduk and Darren Helm were there. Parker ended up getting sick. And I was like, that's
Mhm.
not Milan Hejduk. And they're like, yeah, it is. No, it's not. It's Hejduk because they misspelled the name on his jersey. And they were like, what?
Oh, that's so embarrassing.
And so these guys turn around and I'm doing this with my head. I was like,
can't
I'm
even.
head juking over here.
I'm head juking.
But he checked you, right?
Oh, he did. Yeah. So I went for a rebound and got bodied. It was Hejduk. And I bodied him back and he went, hey.
No one does that to me.
Yeah, no one does that to me.
Who are you?
Who was your
I found out I
favorite?
scored. Apparently I scored on that rebound and I didn't even know
Nice.
because
Hell
they called
yeah.
it super late. And so I was like, I
That's
found out
amazing.
like an hour after. And so I was like, I didn't even celebrate. What the heck?
You're just that cool. You don't need to celebrate.
You don't need a
Well,
silly. It's fine.
Because after I scored last year, because it's been forever since I had done something like that, I just did the whole shoulder brush thing. And I was like, I hope I score another because that was kind of douchey. But
Nah, it's perfect. It's perfect.
and this
It's
year I
fine.
didn't even
It's fine.
celebrate at all.
Well, like I said, you're too cool for school. You don't need to celebrate.
Yeah.
You're like, this is every day for me. No worries.
Yeah, but Ball Arena ice is amazing compared to FS Center. Yeah, ball. I mean, it's just
can't
incredible.
imagine.
Yeah, you're
Yeah.
just gliding out there. It's perfect.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
Nothing-
It's fun to skate under the jumbotron and experience that.
And Darren Helm
haven't
told me to
done it
take
yet.
the initial face off, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that is really cool.
In my mind, I
That's
was like,
fun.
really? Because I'm not a center, I'm a winger, and so
Like, what am I doing? Yeah.
not
This is
taking a
weird.
face off since like tryouts for like the 2007 travel team that I was on. It was
That
the
was a
last
lot of
time I took a
trust.
draw.
That was a lot of trust they gave you.
I
Did
was
you win the
like,
face off?
oh, I did not win the face off. I got close.
That's all
I was
that
like, holy
matters.
crap, are you serious? Like, I'm taking a draw forever.
Who is your favorite veteran player?
Ooh, good
Brent
question.
of the team right now, Brent Burns
No,
for sure.
of like the
Like-
veteran games that you play, like the past players.
Darren Helm. Darren Helm is honestly very personable. He's just like a regular dude. And I told him, yeah, I watched you win your first Stanley Cup at Red Lobster when I was 15 years old. They allowed me to sit at the bar.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah!
so this was
Yes.
2008. So there was a guy from Detroit there who was talking about how he wanted to vote for Bill Richardson for president. So this was like in the middle. This was like when everything was going on. Richardson at the time was the governor of New Mexico, and he eventually, I think he got a position with the Department of Energy. I thought under the Obama administration. I don't remember,
Mhm.
but yeah. So you got to see that. So that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. I can
awesome.
just imagine little Ryan with his like cheddar biscuit roll, like watching
At the bar.
at the bar.
Yeah.
I get to sit at the bar. Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
that's
it's
really
pretty cool. And I was a Dominik Hasek super fan, so ever since I was a kid, so I was just, yeah, I did cheer for Detroit, but only for Hasek and like the Nick Lidstrom,
Mhm.
Chris Chelios, all the old school players. So that was cool to see.
Want to switch topics? Trade deadline's coming up. What do you foresee in the Avalanche and I guess the league at large?
Honestly, I can see the Avalanche possibly moving Sam Girard and then trying to get a third line center. If that Bednar's made no secret that they're looking for a third line center. I think we're good. Like I think honestly we're good, but I think what they're really looking for is extra physicality. Because Josh Manson and Brent Burns, physical, right? But you need you probably need a little bit of an extra push for the playoffs, especially if you're going to end up playing Dallas at some point. So
Right.
if you move Girard, I don't know. The third line center from Detroit is he's like 6'6", 220 between 223, 230 pounds, and
Yeah, big
he's
boy.
like third in the league in hits, and he's got a 60% win percentage. Forget his name
Oh,
off the top of my
wow.
head right now, but yeah, he's a solid dude, and yeah, I mean, I don't technically want to make any trades, but if they're going to make a trade, that would probably be the one that I would go for.
Any other like predictions around the league?
Honestly, not really.
Yeah.
I haven't really paid attention to the other teams.
That sounds like me. I'm always the one that's like, I'm just so locked in on the abs. I'm like, I
Michael
get all my other.
Rasmussen, that's his name. Rasmussen from the Wings. 6'6",
Okay.
222 pounds, 26 years old.
That's actually crazy because I was talking to my husband about that the other day. Him specifically, because we were looking at someone had made their predictions, and I saw that he was a possibility for somebody else. I don't even know who it was, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah, and the other thing is that, what would the Red Wings want in return? And I think that
Right.
I think they would probably want Gerard, but they would probably want to get one of the prospects that I just wrote about. I forgot how to pronounce his name off the top of my head. I can look that up right now.
Who else was on that list? I would say someone posted their predictions, and I was looking at it because I've tried to push the trade deadline to the back of my head because
And I keep bringing
the
it up.
abs are just. I think the abs are just doing so well that the thought of messing with anything is kind of like, don't do it.
It's coming, guys. You gotta be prepared for it.
It's coming,
'Cause
right?
I
So
wasn't
that's my
prepared
goal.
for last year, and that was a mistake.
I say we all know how I handled last year, but that's my goal this week is to really get into
Gulyayev
the
is
trades.
who I was talking about.
Who was it?
Gulyayev, Mikhail. We
Gulyayev.
drafted him first overall in 2023. Good, is really good player. Probably is going to break out at some point, but I have a feeling that that's who the Red Wings would want because the Red Wings are honestly the Red Wings have a really deep prospect pool. They're going to be a Stanley Cup threat within the next couple of years.
I believe that.
If they can, if John Gibson can get back to form, and if Sebastian Kosa can get in, can get in the NHL. Nate Danielson's going to break out at some point. Emmett Finney's 20 years old, and he's doing very well. Yeah, that team's going to be dangerous. I've been saying that for the last year and a half, that, the Red Wings have something brewing.
How do you feel about Buffalo?
They're getting better for sure. I think the leadership change really. I don't really know too much about Buffalo, but obviously, whatever the other coach was doing wasn't working out so well because they were really bad. And as soon as they got this new guy in, he was like, "All right, we're gonna change shit. This guy's fired. This guy's fired. I'm gonna do this and this and that, and we're gonna start winning games." So, I think when you have a leadership change like that, it's kind of, I wouldn't say that it's temporary, but it's a temporary boost because last year, obviously, the Red Wings fired their last coach, Lalonde, for Todd McClellan. They went on this huge run, and then they kind of fell off towards the end and missed the playoffs.
Right.
So I have a feeling that, the Sabres are going to go on a little bit of a run. They won 10 games in a row. They're probably going to tail off. It's kind of like a honeymoon. They're probably going to tail off.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what happens next year with them.
Yeah. That was kind of like on the last podcast episode, we basically said the same thing.
Yeah.
All right. Sarah, do you have any further questions for Ryan?
I don't think so. I think we covered a lot.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Great. Well, friends, thank you so much for arriving here so early. I will not be doing that again. My apologies. Ryan,
You're all good. I enjoyed it. I got that extra cup of coffee because I was like, man, I think I might need a little extra oomph today.
A little oomph. Yeah. You got to have some oomph for the sassy gals.
Will you be at the game tonight, Ryan?
I won't be at the game tonight. I'll actually have to be at another site tonight, but I will be covering off-site. So
Gotcha.
I'll be back. I'll be back for the rest of the homestand, though.
Cool. Perfect. Cool.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Well, thank you so much for listening to Sass and Slapshots. Ryan, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
Just a pleasure to know and to interview. And we will see you guys next week. Stay sassy, friends.
Thank you so much, guys.
Sassy.
We'll see you.
Bye, guys. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Sass and Slapshots. If you're craving more hockey content from us before next week's drop, have no fear. We're two chronically online hockey nerds. Check out our Substack, social media channels, and support links below. If you're interested in sponsorship or collaboration, feel free to reach out at v@sassandslapshots.com. Special shout out to our editor, Joe Bogomil, and our graphic designer, Corey Tyler. We appreciate all of the support and can't wait to chat with you next week. Bye. Bye.